In this video, I want to talk about the two different ways that you can think about AI in your organization. And the first way is quite common. I think a lot of people are exploring this at the moment. The second is, I think, really underutilized or underexplored. So let's jump in and see what I'm talking about. The first is productivity and efficiency. I think since the beginning of ChatGPT, this has been the main draw card of AI. We can help you save time. You can actually, get time back in your week that you can then work on other tasks. And this is incredibly valuable. I use AI all the time and I've never been able to achieve so much. And there's a few tools that I think are really useful in this category. And the first, I think, is voice transcription or dictation. We've got two kind of subcategories of that. Dictation is what I like to refer to as when we speak to the computer, when we speak to the AI, we can actually brain dump, we can get our speech converted to text, so we don't actually have to type, and we can speak about 3 or 4 times quicker than we can type. So already there we are saving a lot of time. The second is transcription, which is often in your meeting transcription tools. And if you're ever in internal or even with permission in external meetings, get those transcripts. It's so valuable. You can refer back to them. AI can extract information, use cases, follow-ups, to-dos from that, and actually then even help, assign or create the follow-up meeting agendas. We've got chatbots like ChatGPT or Claude, very useful for drafting emails or strategy plans or having this back and forth dialogue. I love using it as a strategic thought partner. We're just bouncing ideas off each other, exploring things. Would this work? Would this not work? Why? What are the types of things to actually continue exploring? We've got things like deep research, image generation, so many useful features. ChatGPT or Claude Projects, again, such a valuable infrastructure within this chatbot environment where we can load in context. We can put in your strategic plan, your communication guidelines, examples of fundraising emails and things like that, and create a project around a specific department or campaign that you're working on, and have AI actually extract that context as it requires to help you complete tasks. Setting up multiple projects for different departments and projects that you're working on is definitely recommended, because you're just never needing to refeed in that context to the AI. It can simply leverage it as it needs to. You can even start looking at things like automations. Google Workspace now has this. We've got Zapier, Make.com, N8N, all of these where you can actually have AI categorize your emails, prepare your meeting agendas. All of these types of automations, whether that's through an automation tool or even some of these new agentic tools like Lindy.ai, again, can just help you save hours each week by not needing to manually do these tasks. Knowledge retrieval, having your organization's knowledge, put into some type of system that the AI can actually retrieve. Project, again, is a great use case for that, where you can put in your policies, your SOPs, and people can actually just engage with that project instead of needing to always ask a human first. And this saves you a lot of time. You don't have to continuously reply to things. We've got quick wins here that just continuously scale and build out. I often see this as a snowball effect. You can start with one section and this can just scale out into another. But the other part that I want to talk about is imagination and innovation. And this is a section where I really don't think, enough is happening. I remember hearing the CEO of Canva speak last year, and she said, we're moving into a time of imagination with AI. And it just really stuck with me, because I think there's so much that nonprofits can do with AI that hasn't been possible for them before, whether that's because of budget constraints or even, technical know-how. But these tools are now becoming so powerful that we can actually leverage them to do things. So what am I talking about? I'm talking a lot about experiential things. How can we make digital experiences for our users, for our donors? For a donor, I think it's a donation page. You can take a screenshot of your donation page and drop it into ChatGPT and ask it to reimagine it. What would this look like in a new experiential way? I'll show you a bit of an example later. You can create artifacts or HTML outputs or even interfaces, web applications, things that take something that was more static and make it dynamic, make it experiential. I worked with an organization recently that took their AI policy and all of these frameworks and embedded it into this like docs type interface that they created with AI. I just thought that was brilliant, and it's a much more interactive, engaging way of working with this type of data. You know, we have to give people permission to actually use these tools. Unfortunately, you know, so much of our time is consumed by the tasks that we already have that we don't often make time for this innovation, for this imagination. So giving your teams permission to actually explore and experiment is incredibly important. And we don't need to be creative. It's incredible what you can do with some of these tools and something just like Pinterest, where you can go and get inspiration. You can go and pick, what do you like? What do you think is going to work? If you've got a brand guideline, you can feed that into AI as well and see what is the combination of where you are and where you'd like to be and what do things look like. So I don't think that this is limited to people that categorize themselves as being creative. It's all about just exploring things that we like and then having AI actually help us there. So let's look at an example. We've got World Vision Australia. I just went to searched donation pages for organizations in Australia and found World Vision, which is a very big organization here. And you can see we've got a donation page, and I just thought it's kind of bland. Like, it doesn't really explain to me what the donation amounts do. Like, you can scroll down and actually see a bit of a journey and how the donation impacts. But again, I thought, you know, what could this look like as more of an experience? So let me bring up a bit of a video, and I'll just play this now, which was created by AI in about 30 minutes. You know, this could be embedded onto a donation page at donate.yourorganization. We've got like this kind of like scrolling introduction. We then got these donation cards where you can hover over each one. And for each monetary value, what does that actually provide? And as I said, this was quite quick to actually create. And I'm not saying that this is the best donation experience, but I just thought that this is something that can give people an idea. Give them something that they can say, actually, maybe there's parts of this that I like, parts of this that I don't. But the speed and the ability to create something like this, that you can then continue that journey, is I think where so much of the value lives. I heard of an organization that created an MVP, a minimal viable product, for a campaign that they were working on, and they spent a couple of weeks doing it with AI, and they got to the end and they actually decided not to use it. And I think that in itself is valuable. They got to that point where they decided it's not actually worth the investment on continuing this, but they were able to get to that point so much quicker without wasting more time and resources. So it's about experimenting, it's about trying, it's about understanding that failure is just part of this. Not everything needs to succeed, but each thing will kind of lead to the next. The skills you acquire will grow and develop and allow you to do more things later down the track. All right, so let's zoom out and just finish off with this, that productivity is great. Productivity and efficiency gains from AI and these tools are so important. Highly recommend investing the time in having training, having your policy, getting people to actually use this, build a culture around shared knowledge and experience. But don't stop there. I think the organizations that are really going to actually show what is possible is the ones that reframe what this technology is providing them. It is making things that were out of the reach of so many nonprofits possible. And it's just about prioritizing and making that time and space to allow people to explore, experiment, and really imagine. As always, if you've got any questions, please feel free to drop them in the comments below. Otherwise, I look forward to seeing you in the next video.